interesting because unlike Bobby Longlegs, who pretty much established is a lost character we shouldn't expect to see again, we don't really know whatever happened to Boxy or even who he is. He's never seen in the base game at all, and in fact is rarely seen on any sort of art for the game, despite it being one of the first toys in Playtime Co. And furthermore, in the Project Playtime ARG about a year ago, after learning about the Playtime Co. employee Rowan Stoll, who tried to expose Playtime Co. for all of the experiments they were doing to release toys into real life, in response, they created the monster version of Boxy who we know today, literally with the sole purpose of killing him, according to the Screen Room VHS tapes, that to summarize, introduced the Bigger Bodies initiative that made all of these big monsters out of children to work in the factory, and that Boxy Who was the first creation of the initiative to attack employees who may try to expose them for the experiments. So clearly, Boxy has a key role in the overarching story of finding out the purpose of these creatures in the factory, which has led some people to speculate he could show up into Chapter 3 and future chapters. But while Boxy is super important to the story, there isn't too much real evidence outside of that to suggest his appearance in future chapters, so I'd say I'm about 40% confident it happened. But somebody I think has a way better chance of returning in each chapter is Ron the Dinosaur, who is a toy I've made a full character breakdown for, and while his presence is extremely confusing, we see him 2 times in Chapter 2 in both a small and large iteration, both of which appear to be dead, and in the original Chapter 1 trailer, we even see a third moving version of him, proving he was once a living character in the factory. And in fact, in Chapter 3's first teaser trailer, a lot of people thought Ron was going to be the third main antagonist, because at the start of the trailer, we were shown a Huggy Wuggy doll to represent Chapter 1, Bobby Longlegs for Chapter 2, and then Ron to somehow represent Chapter 3. And what's even weirder is that his head in this shot is actually decapitated, which we see happen again in Chapter 3's second teaser trailer, where his similarly decapitated head is hanging up on the body shrine in a very noticeable area that is clearly meant for us to point out. So all of these weird details with Ron, along with the fact that he is such a popular character, makes it seem like he could end up being in the chapter in some way. The only real issue with this theory that really brings it down is that there just isn't really much of a known purpose to Ron. He never tries to attack us, barely ever is seen moving, and similar to toys like Cappy and Candy Cat, he seems like a side character who might show up in the chapter, but he might not be a big main boss like a Huggy Wuggy or PJ Pumpkiller. So I'd say I'm about 60% confident in coming back. But possibly the character people want the most in the chapter more than anything is none other than Huggy Wuggy, who, as we know and have discussed, was the Chapter 1 main antagonist, and after running from him and dropping a box on his head, he falls under the catwalks to presumably never be seen again, sort of telling us that he was dead. But what's interesting is that we can see remnants of Huggy falling in the vents of the Chapter 2 water treatment area, suggesting a tease of him coming back into the game later, and it's notable that there's no real confirmation that Huggy died at all, since who knows, he could have easily survived the fall from the catwalks as his job in the factory was to be the security guard and he was probably built to last. And what really sells this theory to me is honestly just how popular Huggy is in the grand scheme of things. He is the mascot of the franchise itself. There's so much merch and anticipation of Huggy making a return. He's a literal modern horror icon at this point, and I almost feel like the developers have to write him a comeback for the culture at least some point. Also, I know we saw a dead version of him a couple times in the Chapter 3 teaser trailer too, seemingly confirming he did in fact die, but you do have to remember that there already are like 4 different types of Huggies in the game, so who knows if this one is even the same one we saw in Chapter 1. I don't know, I'd say I'm 70% confident in this theory. I think it's possible, but definitely not guaranteed. However, an oddly much more likely character would be none other than PJ Pugabill, who is a character that on the surface seems extremely minor, since for the most part his purpose in the factory was literally just to be a mere obstacle in statues before fighting Bobby Longlegs. But don't get it wrong, because behind the scenes, PJ is an absolute menace. As we can see in the only 2 assessment forms from Chapter 2 where the employees tested the orphan children playing in the game station and how well they did at said games, both times you can see while documenting PJ's game statues, they noted that the children being tested were screaming and focusing on a mysterious figure in the yard before the employees randomly stopped writing mid-text, presumably being attacked actually prototyping PJ Pugapillar to come into Watch and Playtime in the future, which would be a really odd character choice unless he had a deeper meaning we're going to learn later. And even in other occasions confirmed that while when he beat Funko in Visual Memory and he beat Black and Buggy, their dead bodies are seen outside being punished by Mom Longlegs for not killing us, we never see a PJ Pugapillar dead body, and the devs told us specifically that he was still alive. So clearly he has a big hidden purpose in the game that isn't talked about much outside of my one video on the topic. And while it's not as promised, I'm a good 80% confident that PJ Pugapillar will have some sort of appearance in Chapter 3 or at least future chapters. But if you want to know who I really think will be in Chapter 3, look no further than Kissy Missy, who is by far the most interesting character to come out of Chapter 2, walking out in a random scene towards the player, helping us by lifting a lever, and then leaving without really ever saying anything. This interaction has been analyzed like 1,000 times by me and others, and so far the best conclusion still is that we really don't know what it means, and we need more context in future chapters to tell why she could have done this. Context that I think we will almost certainly get in Chapter 3, especially since, like a couple of the other toys talked about in this video, she had her own Chapter 3 VHS tape in lead up to the game's release. However, what makes her tape the most interesting is that we can see her being dragged from a storage closet and brought into none other than the playcare for a reason that we still don't know. Meaning that assuming Kissy wasn't moved around anywhere else, when the factory closed, she was actually working in the playcare and came to visit us here in the game station. So with that being said, I don't think it's just a possibility, but rather an expectation for her to show up in Chapter 3, and we can finally learn why she was so much friendlier than the other toys. I'm about 90% confident that she's going to be in the chapter, and I'd be shocked if she doesn't make some sort of appearance. However, I've tested pretty much every other character who could possibly return in the chapter, but the character that of all I am the most confident in returning to the chapter is of course none other than the prototype Experiment 1006. The prototype, very similar to Kissy Missy, comes out of nowhere in Chapter 2 to collect Mommy Longlegs' head, which we then end up seeing in Chapter 3's second teaser trailer, proving he was in the playcare. And honestly, the entire chapter revolved around the prototype itself. Like we said, we are seeing him live in the trailer build this creature here. There are
if every toy coming back in Chapter 3 is probably not going to happen.
are multiple references of him written into the walls of the playcare, and he has had multiple VHS tapes and appearances in the base games, very clearly teasing him coming into this upcoming chapter. So while of course this is just me theorizing here, and I could be completely off, I think it is pretty safe to say, in my opinion, that the prototype is basically guaranteed to return in the chapter to some extent, whether that be as another mysterious minor side character like in Chapter 2 or a full-blown enemy or boss. Either way, I'm basically 100% confident that Experiment 1006 is going to be in Chapter 3, but let me know in the comments who you think is going to be in the chapter and how confident you are. Subscribe and peace out.
Got this.
Carmen's Aussie clusters are the crunchy, breaky boredom buster. That's the Carmen's kind of care.
I have a job for you. It's a security gig. I will work and you will sleep, understand? This place was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet. All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor
You must be the security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Security hires never last. In the 80s, kids went missing. That's why the place shut down. The police searched for Eddie's. They never found the kids. What is she doing here?
I couldn't find a sitter. What do they want?
They want to make her like them.
I didn't think you should maybe tell me about that.
Can we go home now?
What are you so afraid of?
He's coming.
Ghost children possessing giant robots? Thanks for the heads up.
Technically, they're animatronics.
Tell me how to stop them.
You don't.
Hi, this is Mike. I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
This place was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
I will work and you will sleep.
I understand.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Okay.
You must be the security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them. In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched for Eddie's top to bottom.
Hello?
They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots? Thanks for the heads up.
Technically, they're animatronics.
What do they want?
They want to make her like them.
Abby! Tell me how to stop them.
It's too late.
Bobby, go! Bobby, go!
How to stop them.
It's too late.
Bobby, go!
Where to? Why do I always get the weirdos?
Ever since the first FNAF movie teaser trailer dropped, one question has been on my mind. Will it actually be a good horror movie, or will it be a silly little thriller made mainly for kids? A good horror movie needs three main elements. It's relevant to the audience, it has characters that the audience cares about, and features a familiar threat presented in an unfamiliar and unsettling way. FNAF is definitely a relevant topic. The characters look like they'll be great, but what about the unfamiliar threat? I already talked about how Spring Bonnie fills that role perfectly in the full video. You can click under the title, but there's just as much, if not more, potential in the idea of kids possessing animatronics. The first game handled it perfectly, and the use of childlike laughter in the trailers has been great. Ever since the first FNAF movie teaser trailer dropped, one question has been on my mind. Will it actually be a good horror movie, or will it be a silly little thriller made mainly for kids? A good horror movie needs three main elements. It's relevant to the audience, that has characters that the audience cares about, and features a familiar threat presented in an unfamiliar and unsettling way. FNAF is definitely a relevant topic. The characters look like they'll be great, but what about the unfamiliar threat? I already talked about how Spring Bonnie fills that role perfectly in the full video. You can click under the title, but there's just as much, if not more, potential in the idea of kids possessing animatronics. The first game handled it perfectly, and the use of childlike laughter in the trailers has been great. Ever since the first FNAF.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.
This movie is basically about a guy who gets a job working at this pizza.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.
This movie is basically about a guy who gets a job working at this pizzeria from the 80s that's abandoned, and once inside, madness ensues.
Have you met them yet? Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy.
They're really terrifying. I think they're doing their job. They're supposed to be eerie and terrifying.
Hello?
We knew that the visibility from the fan base was super high. Every department on this movie played such a crucial and important role.
They had Jim Henson Studios create these puppets.
And all the animatronics had such a personality. Chica, she looks happy, and then boom, she gets really scary.
Bonnie is the most aggressive. If there's a time when Freddy should be scary or intimidating, he stands tall, the movement is slow and ominous.
Sometimes it's the subtlety that really sells the character. There's so much in the movie that speaks to the fan base.
This is a movie that's going to have a lot of jump scares.
The audiences are in for a ride.
You will be blown away.
It's the ultimate popcorn movie.
You'll be blown away.
This is a movie that's going to have a lot of jump scares.
The audiences are in for a ride.
You will be blown away.
It's the ultimate popcorn movie.
Five Nights at Freddy's is
Very intense.
A thrill ride. It's terrifying.
Five Nights is
Scary.
Scary.
scary. It's eerie.
nightmarish.
Visceral.
Super creepy.
It's out of this world.
We're going to have so much fun together.
Prepare to have your mind blown. Prepare to have your mind blown. Prepare to have your mind blown.
I have a job for you.
I will take anything.
This place has been shut down for years. It's a security gig. Piece of cake, really. All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
We're going to have so much fun together.
I will work and you will sleep.
I understand.
What are you so afraid of? I help you, officer?
Security hires never last.
Hello?
What is she doing here?
I couldn't find a sitter.
Have you met them yet?
Meant who?
Them. Freddy's can get to you. Some kids went missing. That's why the place shut down.
Ghost children possessing giant robots? You didn't think you should maybe tell me about that? Tell me how to stop them. You didn't think you should maybe tell me about that? You didn't think you should maybe tell me about that? Tell me how to stop them.
You don't. It's too late.